Thanks very much, Joe. I appreciate the invitation. It's always good to come here and meet with so many friends and meet new friends and have a good debate about what's going on in the pharmaceutical industry. So given that he's kept me to 8 to 10 minutes, and as an ex-Quebec politician, I normally say hello in 8 to 10 minutes, you know, so let me get right into it. Let me tell you quickly about RX&D. We're quickly approaching 100 years old. We represent 50 different member companies. We advocate for policies which will bring innovative medicines and vaccines to Canadians in a timely and appropriate manner. So the whole question of access is very important. We also strive very hard to improve the global competitiveness and make Canada a world leading in biopharmaceutical investments. We are comprised of companies of all sizes, and we are part of an overall global pharmaceutical community. We represent over 20,000 men and women who work in the innovative business and 60,000 other jobs. We invest over $1 billion in investments in this country, approximately $1.2 billion. Despite the shrinking economy, the job losses that we've seen, we believe that we are facing unprecedented challenges, but also an opportunity in which Canada can move forward if it uses this time to seize the opportunity. Our industry is one that is fueled by innovation, and we are a model of, I believe, corporate responsibility. We are the foundation of tomorrow's economy. As Canada is looking for an economic stimulus package, I very much believe that the knowledge-based economy is what will drive it. But if innovation is not rewarded, and we do not necessarily have a policy that rewards innovation in this country, if innovation is not rewarded, it will go elsewhere. Our industry is founded on scientific ingenuity and evidence, and that scientific ingenuity will be lost to Canada if we don't seize this opportunity. Now, you know very well, I'm not going to tell you anything new today about the global reality. There is a financial crisis. We see the U.S., the EU, and Japan in depression or recession modes. Canada also in recession mode. And what we're trying to work with the governments right now is to make sure we understand how they're going to react to this recession period, deficit period. You look at government deficits. Every single government across the country now is moving into a deficit, hopefully short-term position. What is their reaction going to be when it comes to buying innovative medicines and making them available for Canadians? Notwithstanding the argument that is very well made is that a proper investment in innovative medicines and vaccines will improve health and save money later on in the system. When you're in short-term deficit financing and thinking, often you can't see the forest for the trees. And this is very much leading to uncertainty and unpredictability in our environment. Now, the reality of the industry is, as you all know, and I'll talk about that in a minute, is there's a serious period of patent expirations coming, and we call it the patent cliff, 2010, 11, and 12, in which there will be billions of dollars that will be saved by the government, and there's an opportunity there to actually re-establish the partnership relationship with the industry. So that's why, Joe, I was one of those positive votes for the future, is that if we do it right, we actually can make a difference. We do see, you look at the figures about sales, you see in most of our sector declining growth. You see less robust pipelines in which there is taking more time to discover new medicines, more costly research, and more barriers to get access. There are more complex risk-adverse regulations. We have an unrelenting, more intense public scrutiny, which unto itself is not a bad thing. But as we have to adjust to make sure that we can respond to that scrutiny, there is a significant burden on our companies. There's obviously cost-cutting and layoffs. There's a consolidation of the industry, although it's already Wednesday and we haven't had an announcement this week. So maybe that's slowing down. But there are a number of issues that are happening. And you see in this slide, for instance, on clinical trials, Canada was very much in the game of leading the investment of clinical trials. We are still doing quite well. But you see the loss, and you see where it's going. And we've lost about 12% of density in terms of clinical trials. Very important for healthcare, very important for research dollars, very important for our academic community. We're still have a shot to compete, but we have to make sure the research community and the governments play the role that they need to play to ensure that we protect that kind of investment. And it is through good policy, economic and social policy, and regulatory policy that we can make sure that Canada is still competitive when it comes to clinical trials. So we have the good science, good labs. That's the basis, but that's not good enough anymore if we're going to win the global battle for clinical trial activity. Now, some of the other challenges are emerging markets. There is a phenomenal amount of activity going on in China, India, Singapore, and they're capturing a greater share of the approximately $100 billion of research money in our industry around the world. They're getting more and more of it.